Every human being wakes up each day with a choice, though most people are not even aware of it. This choice is not about what clothes to wear or what food to eat, but something far more powerful and life-shaping. It is the choice of attitude, the invisible force that quietly controls thoughts, decisions, actions, and ultimately destiny. Attitude is not something you can touch or see, yet it is present in every moment of life. It influences how a person reacts to success and failure, how they treat others, how they face challenges, and how they view themselves. A person may have talent, resources, and opportunities, yet without the right attitude, those advantages often fade away. On the other hand, someone with limited resources, but a strong, determined, and positive attitude can rise beyond expectations and create a life of meaning and achievement. In reality, life does not always go according to plan. There are moments of disappointment, failure, rejection, and uncertainty. These moments test a person not by what they have, but by how they think and respond. Two people can face the same situation, yet walk away with completely different outcomes. One may see loss and defeat, while the other discovers lessons, growth, and a new direction. This difference is not in the situation, but in the attitude. From a young student trying to learn and grow, to a professional navigating career challenges, to a leader guiding others, the role of attitude remains constant. It shapes confidence, builds resilience, and determines whether a person gives up or moves forward. It is the silent driver behind persistence, the hidden energy behind motivation, and the foundation of long-term success. Consider the example of a young man who fails repeatedly in his attempts to secure a job. If he allows negativity to take control, he may begin to believe that he is not capable and stop trying. But if he chooses to maintain a strong and hopeful attitude, he will continue to improve his skills, learn from each rejection, and eventually find an opportunity. His journey may be difficult, but his attitude becomes the bridge between failure and success. This book is built on a simple yet powerful truth that attitude is everything. It is not just a motivational phrase, but a practical reality that affects every area of life. The chapters that follow will explore how attitude influences thinking, behavior, relationships, growth, and the ability to overcome challenges. Each chapter will present real-life examples and situations that show how a shift in mindset can transform outcomes. The purpose of this book is not to promise an easy life or instant success, but to reveal the power that already exists within every individual. When a person understands and develops the right attitude, they gain control over how they experience life, no matter what circumstances arise. In the end, it is not the events of life that define a person, but the attitude with which they face those events. This understanding is the beginning of true strength, growth, the power of perspective. Every human life is shaped not only by events, but by the meaning given to those events. The same situation can appear completely different to two people, depending on how they choose to see it. This way of seeing and interpreting the world is called perspective, and perspective is the foundation of attitude. A person does not simply react to reality, they react to their interpretation of reality. This is why two individuals facing the same challenge can end up with entirely different results. One sees a problem and stops moving forward, while the other sees a challenge and begins to search for solutions. The difference is not in the situation, but in the mindset. Perspective acts like a lens through which life is experienced. When the lens is clouded with doubt, fear, or negativity, everything appears difficult and discouraging. Even small obstacles seem overwhelming, and progress feels impossible. But when the lens is clear and focused on growth and possibility, even large difficulties become manageable and meaningful. Consider the story of a young student preparing for an important exam. He studies for weeks, yet when the results are announced, he fails. His first reaction could be disappointment and frustration. If he allows these emotions to control his perspective, he may begin to believe that he is not intelligent enough, or that success is not meant for him. This belief will weaken his confidence and reduce his effort in the future. Now imagine the same student choosing a different perspective. He still feels the disappointment, but instead of letting it define him, he asks himself what went wrong. He reviews his preparation methods, seeks guidance, and identifies areas that need improvement. In this case, failure becomes a teacher rather than an enemy. His attitude transforms a negative event into a powerful learning experience. This example shows that perspective does not remove pain or difficulty, but it changes the direction in which a person moves after facing them. Life will always present moments of uncertainty and struggle, but perspective determines whether those moments become barriers or stepping stones. Another example can be seen. A young employee joins a company with great enthusiasm, but soon faces criticism from his manager. At first, he feels discouraged and unappreciated. If he adopts a negative perspective, he may assume that the manager dislikes him, or that he is not capable of performing well. This thinking can lead to reduced motivation and poor performance, creating a cycle of failure. However, if the same employee chooses a constructive perspective, he will interpret the criticism as feedback. He will understand that improvement is part of growth and use the advice to enhance his skills. Over time, his performance improves and he gains confidence. The situation remains the same, but the outcome is completely different because of perspective. Perspective also plays a powerful role in how people view success. Some individuals see successful people and feel jealousy or discouragement. They believe that success is reserved for a lucky few and that their own efforts will never be enough. This belief limits their actions and prevents them from trying. Others look at the same successful individuals and feel inspired. They study their journeys, learn from their struggles, and believe that similar success is possible for them. This positive perspective fuels action, persistence, and continuous improvement. The difference between these two reactions lies entirely in attitude. One sees limitation, while the other sees possibility. It is important to understand that perspective is not fixed. It can be changed and developed with conscious effort. A person can train their mind to focus on opportunities rather than obstacles. This does not mean ignoring difficulties, but approaching them with a mindset that seeks solutions and growth. Developing a powerful perspective requires awareness. A person must first recognize their patterns of thinking. When negative thoughts arise, they must question them and replace them with more constructive ideas. This process takes time and consistency, but it gradually strengthens the mind and builds resilience. For example, a person facing repeated rejection in a job search may begin to think that they are not good enough. Instead of accepting this thought as truth, they can challenge it by asking what skills need improvement, what opportunities are still available, and what actions can be taken next. This shift in thinking keeps them moving forward rather than giving up. Perspective also influences emotional strength. When a person views challenges as temporary and solvable, they are less likely to feel overwhelmed. They remain calm, focused, and determined even in difficult situations. This emotional stability is essential for long-term success and well-being. In life, there will always be factors beyond control, such as unexpected changes, losses, or failures. What remains within control is the way those events are interpreted. A strong perspective allows a person to maintain hope and direction, even when circumstances are uncertain. The power of perspective can also be seen in everyday situations. A person stuck in traffic may become angry and frustrated, seeing it as a waste of time. Another person may use the same time to listen to something educational, reflect on their goals, or simply relax. The situation is identical, but the experience is complete. This simple example highlights an important truth that attitude is present in every moment, not just in major life events. It is built through small daily choices in thinking and reacting. Over time, these small choices create a pattern, and that pattern shapes the overall direction of life. A positive and growth-oriented perspective does not guarantee that everything will be easy, but it ensures that every experience has value. It turns mistakes into lessons, struggles into strength, and effort into progress. Chapter 2. Choosing attitude over circumstances. Life does not move in a straight, predictable line. It changes direction without warning, and often places people in situations they never planned for. Some moments in all of this, one truth remains constant: circumstances are not always within control, but attitude always is. Many people spend their lives waiting for the perfect conditions to feel motivated, happy, or successful. They believe that once problems disappear and everything becomes stable, then they will be able to move forward with confidence. The reality is that perfect conditions rarely exist, and those who wait for them often remain stuck in the same place. The individuals who truly grow and succeed are those who decide to rise above their circumstances instead of being defined by them. They understand that challenges are a part of life, and that progress depends on how they respond rather than what they face. Consider the story of a young man who grows up in a difficult environment with limited resources and constant financial pressure. He watches others around him give up on their dreams because they believe their situation cannot change. If he adopts the same thinking, he will likely follow the same path, believing that his circumstances control his future. But imagine that he chooses a different attitude. Instead of focusing on what he lacks, he focuses on what he can do. He begins to educate himself using whatever resources are available. He works small jobs, saves money, and continues learning despite the obstacles. His journey is not easy, and progress is slow, but his attitude keeps him moving forward. Over time, his efforts begin to create opportunities, and his life gradually changes. This example shows that circumstances may set the stage, but attitude determines the performance. A person is not limited by where they start, but by how they choose to think and act within that starting point. Another example can be seen in a woman who loses her job unexpectedly. At first, she feels fear and uncertainty because her routine and financial stability are suddenly gone. If she allows these emotions to take control, she may fall into negativity and lose confidence in her abilities. This mindset can prevent her from taking action and make the situation even more difficult. However, if she chooses a strong and proactive attitude, she will begin to see the situation differently. She may view it as an opportunity to explore new career paths, improve her skills, or even start something of her own. She updates her resume, reaches out to contacts, and keeps applying despite rejection. With persistence, she eventually finds a new opportunity that may be even better than the one she lost. The situation itself was challenging, but her attitude turned it into a turning point rather than a dead end. Choosing attitude over circumstances does not mean ignoring reality. It means accepting reality while refusing to let it define your limits. It is about understanding that while external conditions may influence your path, they do not have the final say in your outcome. There are also moments in life when circumstances feel overwhelming, such as health challenges, personal losses, or unexpected failures. In these times, maintaining a positive attitude can seem difficult. Yet it is exactly in these moments that attitude becomes most important. It provides strength when energy is low and hope when the future feels uncertain. Take the example of a person recovering from a serious illness. The physical struggle is real and cannot be denied, but the mental approach to recovery can make a significant difference. A person who believes in their ability to heal and focuses on progress, no matter how small, often experiences greater resilience and determination, compared to someone who feels defeated from the beginning. Attitude influences not only actions, but also endurance. It determines how long a person continues to try when results are not immediate, and how they handle setbacks along the way. In everyday life, the choice of attitude appears in simple situations. A student receives a difficult assignment and feels tempted to avoid it. One approach is to complain and delay, which increases stress and reduces performance. Another approach is to accept the challenge and begin working step by step, which leads to improvement and confidence. A worker faces a demanding task at the office and feels pressure. Instead of seeing it as a burden, they can view it as a chance to prove their capability and grow professionally. This shift in thinking changes the entire experience and often leads to better results. It is important to realize that attitude is a choice that must be made repeatedly. It is not decided once and then fixed forever. Each day brings new situations, and each situation offers an opportunity to choose how to respond. Over time, these choices form habits, and those habits shape character. Developing the habit of choosing a strong attitude requires discipline. A person must become aware of negative thoughts and replace them with constructive ones. They must remind themselves of their goals and focus on what can be controlled rather than what cannot. This process is not always easy, but it becomes more natural with practice. People who consistently choose the right attitude often stand out not because they have easier lives, but because they handle difficulties differently. They remain calm in pressure, focused in confusion, and determined in uncertainty. This consistency builds trust, respect, and opportunities over time. It is also worth noting that attitude can influence others. A person who remains positive and solution-focused in challenging situations often inspires those around them. Their behavior creates an environment where problems are approached with confidence rather than fear. As this chapter comes to an end, it becomes clear that circumstances will always change and challenges will always exist. What truly matters is the decision to rise above them. A person who learns to choose their attitude regardless of the situation gains a powerful advantage in life. In the end, it is not the circumstances that define a person, but the strength of attitude they bring to those circumstances. This choice is available every day and in every moment, and it has the power to transform even the most difficult situations into opportunities for growth and success. Chapter 3. Attitude shapes relationships. Human life is deeply connected to relationships. Every person interacts with family, friends, colleagues, and even strangers on a daily basis. These interactions may seem ordinary, but they play a major role in shaping emotional well-being, success, and overall life satisfaction. At the center of all these connections lies one powerful factor, and that is attitude. The way a person thinks and feels about others directly influences how they behave and respond in relationships. A positive and understanding attitude creates trust, respect, and connection, while a negative and judgmental attitude leads to conflict, distance, and misunderstanding. Relationships are not built only on words, but on the energy and intention behind those words. A person may speak politely, but if their attitude carries irritation or disrespect, it will still be felt by others. In the same way, a simple sentence spoken with kindness and sincerity can strengthen a bond, even in difficult situations. Consider the example of two friends who face a misunderstanding. One friend assumes the worst and reacts with anger, believing they have been disrespected. The situation becomes bigger than it actually is simply because of a negative attitude. Now imagine the same situation approached with a calm and open mindset. One friend chooses to ask questions instead of making assumptions. They try to understand the intention behind the actions and listen carefully. This approach reduces conflict and allows both individuals to resolve the issue peacefully. The difference lies not in the situation, but in the attitude brought into it. Attitude also determines how much effort a person is willing to put into maintaining relationships. Strong relationships require patience, understanding, forgiveness, and consistency. A person with a positive attitude values these qualities and works to strengthen connections even when challenges arise. For example, a family member may make a mistake that causes disappointment. A negative attitude would focus only on the mistake and hold on to resentment. This creates distance and weakens the relationship over time. A positive attitude, however, recognizes that everyone makes mistakes and chooses to forgive and move forward. This strengthens trust and keeps the bond intact. In professional environments, attitude becomes even more visible. A manager who approaches their team with encouragement, respect, and fairness creates a culture where people feel valued and motivated. Employees are more likely to give their best effort when they feel supported and understood. On the other hand, a manager with a negative attitude who constantly criticizes and doubts their team creates fear and insecurity. In such an environment, creativity and productivity decrease because people are more focused on avoiding mistakes than achieving success. Attitude is contagious in relationships. The way one person behaves often influences how others respond. A calm and positive approach can reduce tension in stressful situations, while a negative approach can quickly escalate minor issues into major conflicts. Consider a situation where a team is working under pressure to complete a project. One member becomes frustrated and begins to complain about the workload. This negativity spreads, and soon others begin to feel the same way. The overall performance of the team declines. Now imagine one member choosing a different attitude. They acknowledge the pressure, but focus on solutions and encourage others to stay focused. Their energy helps maintain balance and motivates the team to continue working effectively. This shows how a single attitude can influence an entire group. Trust is another important aspect of relationships, and attitude plays a key role in building it. A person who consistently shows honesty, respect, and reliability develops strong trust with others. This trust is not created overnight, but through repeated actions guided by a positive mindset. For example, a colleague who always supports others during difficult tasks and remains dependable earns the respect of the team. People feel comfortable working with them because they know what to expect. This reliability is a reflection of their attitude toward responsibility and teamwork. Attitude also affects how people handle disagreements. Disagreements are natural in any relationship because individuals have different opinions, experiences, and perspectives. The goal is not to avoid disagreement, but to manage it in a healthy way. A person with a negative attitude may try to prove others wrong or dominate the conversation, leading to arguments and damaged relationships. A person with a constructive attitude focuses on understanding different viewpoints and finding common ground. This approach leads to growth and stronger connections. In personal relationships, such as friendships and partnerships, attitude determines emotional closeness. A person who shows appreciation, kindness, and genuine care builds deep and meaningful bonds. These small actions reflect a positive mindset and create a sense of security and belonging. For example, expressing gratitude for simple things like support, time, and effort can strengthen a relationship significantly. On the other hand, taking others for granted or focusing only on their shortcomings can weaken even the strongest connections. It is also important to understand that attitude affects how a person perceives others. A negative mindset may lead to constant criticism and fault-finding, while a positive mindset looks for strengths and appreciates differences. This shift in perception changes the entire experience of relationships. Developing the right attitude in relationships requires self-awareness. A person must recognize their own reactions and be willing to improve them. This includes managing emotions, listening actively, and responding thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. For instance, when feeling anger or frustration, taking a moment to pause and think before speaking can prevent unnecessary conflict. This simple habit reflects a mature and balanced attitude. As time passes, relationships built on a strong and positive attitude tend to grow stronger, while those influenced by negativity often weaken and break. The difference is not always in the people involved, but in the mindset they bring into the relationship. As this chapter comes to an end, it becomes clear that attitude is the foundation of every connection in life. It shapes communication, builds trust, resolves conflict, and determines the quality of relationships. In the end, people may forget words or actions, but they rarely forget how they were made to feel, and that feeling is created by attitude. A person who chooses understanding, respect, and positivity creates relationships that are not only strong, but also meaningful and lasting. Chapter 4. Through attitude. Life is not designed to be easy or predictable. Every person at some point faces moments of adversity. These moments may come in the form of failure, loss, rejection, uncertainty, or unexpected change. They test strength, patience, and belief in ways that comfort never can. While adversity is unavoidable, the way a person responds to it is always within their control, and that response is shaped by attitude. Adversity often reveals the true nature of a person. It exposes weaknesses, but also uncovers hidden strength. Many people see difficult situations as barriers that stop progress, but those with a strong attitude see them as challenges that build character and create growth. Consider the story of a young woman who dreams of becoming a doctor. She studies for years with dedication, but fails to gain admission into a medical college on her first attempt. This moment feels like the end of her dream. If she allows this failure to define her, she may give up and choose a different path, not because she lacks ability, but because her attitude loses strength. Now imagine she chooses a different response. She accepts the disappointment but refuses to let it control her future. She analyzes her preparation, identifies where she needs improvement, and prepares again with greater focus. The second attempt may still be difficult, but her mindset becomes stronger and more disciplined. Eventually she achieves her goal, and the struggle becomes part of her success story. This example shows that adversity does not end a journey unless a person decides to stop moving forward. The outcome is determined not by the difficulty of the situation, but by the attitude maintained during it. Adversity also teaches lessons that success often cannot. When everything goes smoothly, there is little need to change or improve, but when challenges arise, they force a person to think differently, act differently, and grow beyond their current limits. Take the example of a small business owner who faces financial loss. The situation seems overwhelming and discouraging. A negative attitude would focus only on what has been lost and create fear about the future. This fear can lead to inaction and further decline. However, a positive and determined attitude looks for solutions. The business owner studies the situation, adjusts strategies, explores new opportunities, and continues working despite uncertainty. The recovery may take time, but the lessons learned during this period make the business stronger and more adaptable. Adversity builds resilience, which is the ability to keep going even when things are difficult. A resilient person does not avoid pain or struggle, but learns how to move through it with strength and patience. This quality is developed through repeated experiences where attitude plays a central role. For example, a student who struggles to understand a subject may feel frustrated and discouraged. If they give up easily, they miss the opportunity to improve. But if they continue practicing, seeking help, and believing in their ability to learn, they gradually overcome the difficulty. This process builds confidence and prepares them for future challenges. In life, there are also moments of personal loss or emotional hardship. These experiences can be deeply painful and cannot be ignored or quickly resolved. During such times, attitude does not remove the pain, but it determines how a person carries it. A person with a hopeful and patient mindset finds ways to heal while continuing to move forward. Consider someone who loses a close relationship. The emotional impact is strong, and recovery takes time. A negative attitude may lead to isolation, bitterness, and loss of trust in others. A healthier attitude allows the person to process the experience, learn from it, and remain open to future connections. This approach leads to healing and growth rather than long-term suffering. Another important aspect of overcoming adversity is belief. Belief in oneself and in the possibility of a better outcome provides the motivation needed to continue. When a person believes that their efforts can lead to improvement, they are more likely to take action even when results are not immediate. For instance, an athlete recovering from an injury may face physical limitations and slow progress. Without belief, they may lose motivation and stop training. But with a strong attitude, they focus on recovery, step by step, trusting that their effort will lead to improvement. Over time, this belief combined with consistent action helps them return stronger than before. Adversity also changes the way people view success. After facing challenges, success is no longer just about achievement, but about the journey, the effort, and the lessons learned along the way. This deeper understanding creates a sense of fulfillment that goes beyond simple results. It is important to understand that maintaining a positive attitude during adversity does not mean ignoring negative emotions. Feeling fear, sadness, or frustration is natural. What matters is not allowing these emotions to take control of decisions and actions. A strong attitude acknowledges these feelings, but chooses to move forward despite them. Developing this strength requires practice. A person must learn to stay focused on what can be controlled rather than what cannot. They must remind themselves of their goals and continue taking small steps, even when progress feels slow. Over time, these small steps create momentum and lead to significant change. In everyday life, adversity can appear in simple forms, such as a failed plan, a missed opportunity, or an unexpected delay. A person may react with frustration and negativity, or they may adjust and continue moving forward. This choice may seem small, but repeated over time, it shapes the overall direction of life. People who consistently overcome adversity often share a common mindset. They do not see difficulties as permanent or personal. They understand that challenges are part of the process, and that growth comes from facing them with courage and determination. As this chapter comes to an end, it becomes clear that adversity is not the enemy, but a powerful teacher. It shapes character, builds strength, and prepares a person for greater achievements. The key to unlocking its value lies in attitude. In the end, it is not the challenges themselves that define a person, but the way they respond to those challenges. A strong and positive attitude turns adversity into opportunity and struggle into strength. This ability to rise above difficulty is what separates those who remain stuck from those who continue to grow and succeed. Chapter 5. Attitude and Personal Growth. Personal growth is a continuous journey that shapes who a person becomes over time. It is not a single event or a sudden transformation, but a gradual process of learning, improving, and evolving. At the center of this journey lies attitude, because it determines whether a person remains the same or moves forward toward a better version of themselves. Every individual has the potential to grow, but not everyone uses that potential. The difference is not always in intelligence, talent, or opportunity, but in mindset. A person with a growth-oriented attitude sees life as a chance to learn, while a person with a negative or fixed mindset sees limitations and avoids challenges. Growth begins when a person becomes aware of their current state and decides to improve. This decision is influenced by attitude because it requires honesty, responsibility, and willingness to change. Without the right mindset, even the best opportunities for growth may be ignored. Consider the example of a young professional who starts a new job. In the beginning, there are many things to learn and mistakes are likely to happen. A person with a negative attitude may feel embarrassed by these mistakes and try to avoid tasks that seem difficult. This limits their development and slows progress. On the other hand, a person with a positive attitude understands that mistakes are part of the learning process. They ask questions, seek feedback, and actively work to improve their skills. Over time, they become more confident, capable, and valuable in their role. The same situation produces completely different results based on attitude. Personal growth also requires stepping outside of comfort zones. Growth does not happen when everything feels easy and familiar. It happens when a person takes on challenges that require effort and persistence. A strong attitude encourages. For example, a student who is afraid of public speaking may avoid opportunities to present in front of others. This avoidance keeps them comfortable but prevents growth. If the student decides to face the fear and practice speaking despite discomfort, they gradually build confidence and skill. This transformation is made possible by a change in attitude. Another important aspect of personal growth is the ability to accept feedback. Feedback provides valuable information about strengths and areas that need improvement. However, the way a person receives feedback depends on their attitude. A negative mindset may interpret feedback as criticism and respond with defensiveness. This reaction blocks learning and creates resistance to change. A positive mindset sees feedback as guidance and uses it to improve performance. This openness accelerates growth and leads to better results. Consider an athlete training to improve performance. The coach provides suggestions to correct technique. If the athlete refuses to listen or feels offended, progress becomes limited. But if the athlete trusts the process and applies the feedback, they gradually reach a higher level of ability. Attitude also influences discipline, which is essential for long-term growth. Discipline means continuing to work toward goals, even when motivation is low. It requires consistency, patience, and focus. A person with the right attitude understands that success is built through repeated effort over time. For instance, someone learning a new skill such as writing, coding, or playing an instrument may not see immediate results. The early stages can feel slow and challenging. A negative attitude may lead to quitting, while a positive attitude keeps the person practicing and improving each day. Eventually, the effort begins to show and confidence grows. Personal growth is not limited to skills and achievements. It also includes emotional and mental development. A person who works on controlling their emotions, improving communication, and building healthy habits experiences a deeper level of growth. For example, a person who often reacts with anger in stressful situations may decide to develop better emotional control. This requires awareness, patience, and practice. Over time, they learn to respond calmly and thoughtfully. This change improves relationships and overall well-being. Attitude plays a key role in this process because it determines whether a person takes responsibility for their behavior or blames external factors. Growth begins when a person accepts that change starts from within. Another example can be seen in someone trying to improve their health. They may need to adopt new habits, such as regular exercise and balanced nutrition. A negative attitude may focus on the difficulty of change and lead to inconsistency. A positive attitude focuses on the benefits and long-term results, making it easier to stay committed. It is also important to understand that growth is not always visible immediately. There are periods where effort does not seem to produce results. During these times, attitude becomes even more important because it keeps a person moving forward despite uncertainty. For example, a writer working on a book may spend months without recognition or success. If they lose belief in their work, they may stop writing. But if they maintain a strong attitude and continue improving their craft, they eventually reach a point where their work is appreciated. Personal growth is deeply connected to self-belief. A person who believes in their ability to improve is more likely to take action and persist through challenges. This belief is strengthened by a positive attitude that focuses on possibilities rather than limitations. It is also influenced by the environment and the people. A person surrounds themselves with positive and supportive individuals encourage growth, while negative influences can slow it down. However, even in a difficult environment, a strong attitude. As time passes, the results of personal growth become more visible. Skills improve, confidence increases, and opportunities expand. These changes are not accidental, but the result of consistent effort guided by the right mindset. As this chapter comes to an end, it becomes clear that attitude is the driving force behind personal growth. It shapes how a person learns, responds to challenges, accepts feedback, and remains disciplined over time. In the end, growth is not about being perfect, but about becoming better than yesterday. And this journey depends on the attitude a person chooses every single day. A strong and positive mindset turns effort into progress and potential into reality, making personal growth not just a possibility, but an ongoing achievement. Chapter 6. Attitude and Success. Success is often seen as the result of talent, intelligence, or luck, but in reality, the foundation of true and lasting success is attitude. Many people with great abilities fail to reach their goals, while others with average skills achieve extraordinary results. The difference lies in how they think, how they act, and how they respond to challenges. Attitude shapes the path toward success because it influences every decision and action along the way. A person with a strong and positive mindset approaches goals with determination, patience, and focus, while a negative mindset creates doubt, fear, and hesitation. Even before any action is taken, attitude begins to define the outcome. Success is not a single moment, but a process that involves effort, consistency, and resilience. Along this journey, there are obstacles, failures, delays, and unexpected changes. A person who depends only on motivation may stop when things become difficult, but a person with the right attitude continues moving forward regardless of circumstances. Consider the example of a young entrepreneur who starts a business with high hopes. In the beginning, everything feels exciting and full of possibility, but soon challenges begin to appear. There are financial pressures, competition, and slow growth. If the entrepreneur has a weak attitude, they may lose confidence and give up when results are not immediate. However, if they maintain a strong and determined mindset, they will see these challenges as part of the journey. They will learn from mistakes, adapt strategies, and continue working with patience. Over time, their persistence leads to improvement and eventually success. This shows that success is not about avoiding difficulty, but about continuing despite it. Another example, the syllabus is vast, and the pressure is high. A negative attitude may lead to procrastination, fear of failure, and lack of focus. This reduces the chances of success even before the exam takes place. In contrast, a positive attitude encourages discipline and consistency. The student creates a study plan, stays committed, and believes in their ability to improve. Even when faced with difficult topics, they continue practicing and seeking help. This mindset increases their chances of success and builds confidence along the way. Attitude also affects how a person defines success. For some, success is only about achieving a specific goal or reaching a certain position. While goals are important, a healthy attitude understands that success also includes growth, learning, and personal satisfaction. For example, a person may work hard to achieve a promotion at work. If they succeed, they feel happy, but if they fail, they may feel completely defeated. Balanced attitude allows them to see both outcomes as valuable. If they achieve the promotion, they celebrate their effort. If they do not, they learn from the experience and continue improving. This perspective creates stability and prevents success from being dependent only on external results. It allows a person to remain motivated, regardless of outcomes. Another important aspect of success is consistency. Success rarely comes from a single action, but from repeated effort over time. Attitude plays a key role in maintaining this consistency, especially during periods when progress is slow or results are not visible. For instance, an athlete training for a competition must practice regularly, even when they feel tired or discouraged. A negative attitude may lead to skipping training sessions and losing focus. A positive attitude keeps them committed to their routine, understanding that each small effort contributes to long-term success. Attitude also influences how a person handles competition. In many areas of life, there are others working towards similar goals. A negative mindset may lead to jealousy or comparison, which creates distraction and reduces focus. A positive mindset sees competition as motivation. It encourages a person to improve their own performance rather than worrying about others. This approach leads to continuous growth and better results. Confidence is another important element of success. and it is closely connected to attitude. A person who believes in their ability to succeed is more likely to take action and persist through challenges. This belief is not based on arrogance, but on a mindset that focuses on possibilities rather than limitations. For example, a person applying for a job may feel nervous about their qualifications. If they focus only on their weaknesses, they may hesitate or avoid applying altogether. But if they maintain a confident attitude, they will present their strengths clearly and take the opportunity seriously. This increases their chances of success. It is also important to understand that success does not always come quickly. There are times when effort does not produce immediate results. During these periods, attitude becomes the key factor that determines whether a person continues or gives up. Consider a writer working on building a career. They may spend months or even years improving their skills without recognition. A negative attitude may lead them to quit believing their work has no value. A positive attitude keeps them writing, learning, and growing until opportunities begin to appear. Success is also influenced by the way a person manages failure. Failure is not the opposite of success, but a part of it. Every successful individual has faced setbacks and learned from them. The ability to continue after failure depends entirely on attitude. For instance, a business owner whose first venture fails may feel disappointed, but if they learn from the experience and try again, they increase their chances of future success. Each failure becomes a lesson that brings them closer to their goal. Attitude also affects how success is maintained. Achieving success is one step, but sustaining it requires continued effort, humility, and adaptability. A person who becomes careless or overconfident may lose what they have achieved, while someone with a balanced attitude continues to grow and improve. As this chapter comes to an end, it becomes clear that success is not determined only by external factors, but by the internal mindset that guides actions and decisions. Attitude influences effort, persistence, confidence, and the ability to learn from experience. In the end, success is not reserved for a specific group of people. It is available to those who are willing to work for it with the right mindset. A strong and positive attitude turns effort into achievement and challenges into opportunities, making success not just a destination, but a continuous journey of growth and accomplishment. Chapter 7. Attitude and Failure. Failure is one of the most misunderstood experiences in life. Many people see it as an end, a sign of weakness, or proof that they are not capable. Because of this fear, they avoid taking risks and remain within their comfort zones, never truly exploring their potential. The truth is that failure is not the opposite of success, but a necessary part of it. An attitude determines whether failure becomes a stopping point or a stepping stone. Every person who has achieved something meaningful has faced failure at some stage. The difference is not in the presence of failure, but in the response to it. A person with a negative attitude sees failure as a permanent defeat and allows it to damage confidence and motivation. On the other hand, a person with a strong and positive attitude views failure as feedback, a source of learning, and an opportunity to improve. Consider the example of a young student who applies for admission to a prestigious institution, but does not get selected. This moment can feel disappointing and discouraging. If the student adopts a negative attitude, they may begin to doubt their abilities and stop trying for similar opportunities in the future. This reaction limits growth and reduces chances of success. Now imagine the same student choosing a different mindset. Instead of seeing rejection as proof of failure, they analyze their preparation, identify areas that need improvement, and try again with greater effort. This approach transforms failure into a lesson and increases the likelihood of success in the future. Failure provides valuable information that success often hides. When everything goes well, there is little reason to question methods or strategies, but failure forces a person to reflect and improve. It highlights weaknesses and creates awareness, which is essential for growth. Take the example of a business owner launching a new product that does not perform well in the market. A negative attitude may lead to frustration and abandonment of the idea. The person may believe that they are not suited for business and give up completely. However, a positive attitude encourages analysis. The next attempt becomes stronger because of the lessons learned from the previous failure. Attitude also affects emotional recovery after failure. Experiencing disappointment is natural and cannot be avoided, but the duration and impact of that disappointment depend on mindset. A person with a negative attitude may hold on to failure for a long time, allowing it to affect future decisions. A person with a constructive attitude accepts the emotions, but does not allow them to control their actions. They process the experience learned from it and move forward. This ability to recover quickly is essential for long-term success. Consider an athlete who loses an important competition. After months of preparation, the loss feels painful. If the athlete allows negativity to take control, they may lose motivation and confidence, affecting future performance. But if they choose a growth-oriented attitude, they will review their performance, understand what went wrong, and train harder for the next opportunity. This approach not only improves their skills, but also builds mental strength. Failure also teaches humility, which is an important quality for growth. It reminds a person that there is always room for improvement, and that success requires continuous effort. A humble attitude keeps a person open to learning and prevents overconfidence. For example, a professional who experiences failure in a project may realize that they need to improve certain skills or seek better collaboration. This awareness leads to development and better performance in the future. Another important aspect of failure is the fear associated with it. Fear of failure often stops people from taking action. They avoid opportunities because they worry about what might go wrong. This fear is not caused by failure itself, but by the attitude toward it. A person who sees failure as something to be avoided at all costs will limit their experiences and miss opportunities for growth. A person who accepts failure as part of the process becomes more willing to take risks and explore new possibilities. For instance, someone who wants to start a new venture may hesitate because of fear of failure. If they change their attitude and see failure as a learning experience, they become more confident in taking the first step. Even if the outcome is not perfect, the experience gained becomes valuable. Attitude also determines persistence after failure. Success often requires multiple attempts and repeated effort. A person who gives up after one or two failures may never reach their goal, while a person who continues despite setbacks increases their chances of success. Consider a writer who submits their work for publication and faces rejection multiple times. A negative attitude may lead them to stop writing, believing their work is not good enough. A positive attitude keeps them improving their writing and submitting again until they eventually succeed. Failure also strengthens resilience, which is the ability to continue moving forward despite difficulties. Each time a person faces failure and chooses to try again, their mental strength increases. This strength becomes a valuable asset in handling future challenges. It is important to understand that failure does not define a person unless they allow it to. A single event or mistake does not determine capability or future potential. What truly matters is the response and the willingness to learn and grow. In everyday life, failure can appear in small ways, such as a plan not working out, a mistake at work, or a missed opportunity. Each of these moments provides a choice to react with negativity or to respond with a mindset focused on improvement. Over time, these responses shape habits, and those habits shape character. A person who consistently learns from failure becomes stronger, wiser, and more capable of achieving success. As this chapter comes to an end, it becomes clear that failure is not something to fear, but something to understand. It is a teacher that provides lessons and an opportunity to grow stronger. The key to unlocking its value lies in attitude. In the end, failure does not stop a person, but the attitude toward failure can either limit or expand their journey. A strong and positive mindset turns failure into a foundation for success, making it not an obstacle, but a necessary step toward achievement. Chapter 8. Attitude and Discipline. Discipline is often seen as the ability to follow rules, maintain routines, and stay committed to goals. But at its core, discipline is deeply connected to attitude. It is not only about what a person does, but about how they think about what they do. A strong and positive attitude makes discipline natural, while a weak or negative mindset makes even simple tasks feel difficult. Many people believe that discipline comes from external pressure, such as deadlines, expectations, or fear of failure. While these factors may create temporary action, true discipline comes from within. It is built on a mindset that values consistency, effort, and long-term growth over short-term comfort. Consider the example of a student preparing for an important exam. The student knows what needs to be done, but the challenge lies in doing it regular. A negative attitude may lead to procrastination, distraction, and excuses. The student may feel that studying is boring or difficult, and choose activities that provide immediate comfort. On the other hand, a student with a strong attitude understands the importance of discipline. They may not always feel motivated, but they continue studying because they are focused on their goal. This mindset allows them to follow a routine and make steady progress over time. Discipline is not about perfection, but about consistency. A person does not need to perform perfectly every day, but they need to keep moving forward. Even small efforts repeated daily create significant results over time. Attitude plays a key role in maintaining this consistency, especially when motivation decreases. For example, a person who wants to improve physical fitness may start with enthusiasm, but after some time the excitement fades. A negative attitude may lead them to skip workouts and eventually stop completely. A positive attitude helps them stay committed, even on days when they feel tired or unmotivated. This ability to continue without relying on motivation is what separates disciplined individuals from those who struggle to maintain progress. Attitude also influences how a person views effort. Some people see effort as something unpleasant to be avoided, while others see it as a necessary part of growth. A person with a positive mindset understands that effort is the path to improvement and accepts it willingly. Take the example of a musician learning to play an instrument. In the beginning, practice may feel repetitive and challenging. A negative attitude may lead to frustration and quitting. A positive attitude allows the musician to focus on gradual improvement. Every person has the same amount of time in a day, but how that time is used depends on attitude. A person who values productivity and growth uses time wisely, while someone with a careless mindset may waste time on activities that do not contribute to their goals. For instance, a professional working on a project may face multiple. A negative attitude may lead to delay and poor focus, resulting in incomplete or low-quality work. A disciplined attitude helps them prioritize tasks, manage time effectively, and complete the work with dedication. Attitude also affects the ability to resist distractions. In a world full of constant stimulation, it is easy to lose focus. Discipline requires the ability to say no to distractions and yes to what truly matters. Consider a person trying to build a new skill while also being surrounded by entertainment and social distractions. A negative mindset may choose comfort and instant pleasure. A strong attitude keeps the person focused on long-term benefits and helps them stay on track. Discipline is closely connected to responsibility. A person with the right attitude takes ownership of their actions and decisions. They do not blame circumstances or others for their lack of progress. Instead, they recognize that their success depends on their own effort. For example, an employee who fails to meet a deadline may choose to blame workload or external factors. A disciplined mindset accepts responsibility and looks for ways to improve time management and performance. This approach leads to growth and trust in professional relationships. Another example can be seen in personal habits. A person trying to develop healthy routines, such as regular exercise, reading, or skill development, needs discipline to maintain these habits. A negative attitude may lead to inconsistency, while a positive attitude builds commitment and long-term change. It is important to understand that discipline is not something that appears suddenly. It is developed through repeated choices. Each time a person chooses to act despite difficulty, they strengthen their discipline. Over time, these choices become habits, and those habits shape their lifestyle. Attitude plays a central role in this process, because it determines how a person feels about these choices. If they view discipline as a burden, they will struggle to maintain it. If they see it as a path to growth, they will embrace it more easily. There are also moments when discipline is tested, such as during stress, fatigue, or uncertainty. In these situations, attitude becomes even more important. A person with a strong mindset continues to follow their routine while adapting to challenges. A weak mindset may give in to excuses and lose progress. For example, during a busy period, a person may feel overwhelmed and consider abandoning their goals. Disciplined attitude helps them adjust their schedule and continue making small efforts rather than stopping completely. This consistency keeps them moving forward. Discipline also builds confidence. Each time a person follows through on their commitments, they strengthen their belief in their ability to succeed. This confidence creates a positive cycle where effort leads to progress, and progress reinforces discipline. As this chapter comes to an end, it becomes clear that discipline is not only about actions, but about the mindset that supports those actions. Attitude determines whether a person remains consistent, focused, and committed over time. In the end, discipline is the bridge between goals and achievement, and attitude is the force that keeps that bridge strong. A person who develops the right mindset turns discipline into a natural part of life, making success not a matter of chance, but a result of consistent effort and determination. Chapter 9: Attitude and Confidence. Confidence is one of the most powerful qualities a person can develop. It influences how individuals present themselves, how they make decisions, and how they pursue opportunities. Yet confidence is not something that appears suddenly or exists without reason. It is deeply connected to attitude. The way a person thinks about themselves and their abilities forms the foundation of their confidence. A person with a positive and strong attitude believes in the possibility of growth and improvement. They understand that skills can be developed and challenges can be overcome. This belief creates a sense of confidence that allows them to take action even when situations are uncertain. On the other hand, a negative attitude fills the mind with doubt, fear, and hesitation. A person may have the ability to succeed, but if they constantly question themselves, they may never take the necessary steps to prove it. In this way, lack of confidence is often not about lack of ability, but about the mindset that limits action. Consider the example of a young graduate attending a job interview. The graduate has the required knowledge and skills, but feels nervous and unsure. If they approach the interview with a negative attitude, they may focus on their weaknesses and fear making mistakes. This thinking affects their body language, speech, and overall performance, reducing their chances of success. Now imagine the same graduate choosing a different attitude. They prepare thoroughly, remind themselves of their strengths, and view the interview as an opportunity rather than a threat. This positive mindset allows them to speak clearly, express ideas confidently, and connect with the interviewer. Even if they do not have all the answers, their confidence creates a strong impression. This example shows that confidence is not about knowing everything, but about believing in the ability to learn and handle situations. Confidence also grows through action. A person does not become confident by waiting, but, for example, a person who wants to improve communication skills may feel shy or hesitant to speak in front of others. Negative attitude may lead them to avoid such situations, keeping their confidence low. A positive attitude encourages them to try, even if they feel uncomfortable. Over time, repeated effort reduces fear and builds confidence. Another important aspect of confidence is self-perception. The way a person sees themselves influences how they behave. If they focus only on their flaws, they may feel inadequate and avoid opportunities. If they recognize their strengths and work on their weaknesses, they develop a balanced and realistic confidence. Consider an athlete preparing for a competition. If they constantly think about their past mistakes, they may feel anxious and lose focus. But if they remember their training effort and progress, they enter the competition with a strong mindset. This confidence improves performance and increases the chances of success. Attitude also determines how a person handles criticism. Criticism can either weaken confidence or strengthen it, depending on how it is interpreted. A negative mindset may see criticism as a personal attack, leading to self-doubt. A positive mindset views it as feedback and uses it to improve. For instance, a writer receiving feedback on their work may feel discouraged if they focus only on the negative aspects. But if they choose a constructive attitude, they will use the feedback to refine their writing and develop their skills. This approach not only improves their work, but also builds confidence in their ability to grow. Confidence is also closely connected to preparation. A person who prepares well for a task naturally feels more confident. However, preparation alone is not enough. The attitude toward that preparation matters equally. A person who doubts their effort may still feel insecure, while someone who trusts their preparation feels ready to perform. For example, a student who studies consistently for an exam builds knowledge and understanding. If they maintain a positive attitude, they enter the exam with confidence and clarity. If they focus on fear and doubt, they may struggle to recall information despite being prepared. Attitude also influences how a person reacts to success and failure. Success can boost confidence, but only if it is supported by a stable mindset. Otherwise, it may lead to overconfidence, which can be harmful. Failure can reduce confidence, but with the right attitude, it becomes an opportunity to learn and improve. Consider a person who succeeds in a project. They may feel confident and motivated to take on new challenges. If they maintain a balanced attitude, they continue to work hard and grow. If they become overconfident, they may neglect effort and lose progress. Similarly, a person who experiences failure may feel discouraged, but if they view it as part of the learning process, they rebuild their confidence and try again. This ability to recover is a sign of strong attitude. Confidence also affects how others perceive a person. People are naturally drawn to individuals who carry themselves with assurance and positivity. This does not mean being perfect, but being comfortable with who they are and willing to improve. For example, in a team environment, a confident individual is more likely to share ideas, take initiative, and contribute effectively. Their attitude inspires others and creates a positive atmosphere. It is important to understand that confidence is not fixed. It changes over time based on experiences and mindset. A person can build confidence by practicing positive thinking, setting achievable goals, and taking consistent action. Small achievements play a significant role in this process. Each time a person completes a task or overcomes a challenge, they strengthen their belief in themselves. These small victories create momentum and gradually build strong confidence. Attitude also helps in maintaining confidence during difficult times. When faced with challenges, a person with a strong mindset remains calm and focused. They trust their ability to find solutions and continue moving forward. As this chapter comes to an end, it becomes clear that confidence is not just a feeling, but a result of attitude and action. It grows through belief, effort, and the willingness to face challenges. In the end, confidence is not about being fearless, but about moving forward despite fear. And this ability comes from a positive and determined Attitude that transforms doubt into strength and potential into achievement. Chapter 10: Attitude and Goal Setting. Goals give life direction and purpose. They provide a destination to aim for and a reason to keep moving forward. However, simply having goals is not enough. The way a person approaches their goals is determined by attitude. A strong and positive mindset transforms goals from distant ideas into achievable realities, while a negative attitude reduces even the most promising goals to wishful thinking. Attitude shapes every stage of goal setting, from defining objectives to planning strategies and taking consistent action. A person who believes in their potential sets ambitious goals and develops a plan to achieve them. Someone who doubts their abilities may either set very small goals or avoid setting any at all, limiting their growth and opportunities. Consider the example of a young athlete who dreams of competing at the national level. With a determined attitude, they analyze their strengths and weaknesses, create a training plan, and commit to daily practice. They embrace challenges as opportunities to improve, rather than seeing them as obstacles. Each step builds skill, confidence, and momentum. Now imagine the same athlete approaching the goal with a doubtful mindset. They may feel intimidated by the competition or fear failure. Their training becomes inconsistent and effort half-hearted. The result is slow progress or even stagnation, despite the same potential. The difference is not talent, but attitude. A positive attitude also helps in visualizing success. Visualization is a powerful tool in goal achievement. It involves imagining the steps required and the feeling of reaching the goal. This mental rehearsal strengthens confidence and prepares the mind for action. For example, a student preparing for a competitive exam may visualize answering questions confidently. Attitude influences how a person handles setbacks while pursuing goals. Setbacks are inevitable, and every journey toward achievement encounters obstacles. A negative attitude interprets setbacks as failure and may lead to giving up. A constructive attitude views setbacks as information to adjust strategies and continue working toward the goal. For instance, an entrepreneur launching a new product may face poor initial sales. Negative mindset may lead them to abandon the project entirely. However, an attitude focused on growth encourages analysis of market response feedback and improvements. The next attempt is stronger and more informed because the setback became a lesson rather than a defeat. Another important aspect of attitude in goal setting is patience. Many significant goals take time to achieve. Without patience, a person may feel discouraged when results are not immediate. A positive mindset understands that effort accumulates gradually, and every small step contributes to long-term success. Consider a person saving for a large purchase or investment. They may feel tempted to spend or give up when progress seems slow. A disciplined attitude keeps them focused on the plan, understanding that persistence over time leads to the desired outcome. Attitude also determines how goals are prioritized. A person with clarity and focus identifies what is most important and allocates energy accordingly. Someone overwhelmed or distracted by negativity may waste effort on less meaningful tasks, reducing the... For example, a professional aiming for career advancement may focus on skill development, networking, and performance improvement rather than engaging in unproductive activities or comparisons with others. A positive attitude ensures that effort aligns with objectives and progress is maximized. Another critical role of attitude is in maintaining motivation. Motivation often fluctuates, and relying solely on external factors, such as rewards or recognition, can be unreliable. A strong mindset generates internal motivation by focusing on purpose and long-term vision rather than temporary circumstances. For instance, a writer working on a novel may feel discouraged by slow progress or lack of feedback. A determined attitude keeps them writing consistently because they are committed to their goal and believe in the value of their work. Attitude also affects flexibility in goal pursuit. Life is unpredictable, And sometimes circumstances change, requiring adjustment of plans. A rigid mindset may resist change, causing frustration or abandonment of goals. A flexible and positive attitude allows a person to adapt strategies without losing sight of the ultimate objective. Consider a student planning to study abroad who faces unexpected visa delays. A negative mindset may lead to giving up or feeling defeated. A constructive attitude helps them find alternative solutions, such as adjusting timelines, exploring different programs, or improving qualifications while waiting. This adaptability ensures continuous progress despite challenges. Attitude further impacts accountability. A person who takes responsibility for their actions and decisions is more likely to follow through on goals. A mindset that blames external factors reduces commitment and decreases the likelihood. For example, an employee assigned a challenging project may either take ownership and work diligently toward success or complain about circumstances and avoid responsibility. The outcome is determined by the attitude they bring to the task. As this chapter comes to an end, it becomes clear that setting goals is only the first step. Achieving them requires attitude. Discipline, patience, resilience, focus, and flexibility are all shaped by mindset. Without the right attitude, even the clearest and most ambitious goals may remain out of reach. In the end, attitude transforms goals from ideas into reality. It is the force that motivates action, sustains effort, and enables a person to navigate obstacles. A positive and determined mindset turns aspiration into achievement, making goal setting not just a plan, but a pathway to success. Conclusion. Attitude is the invisible force that shapes every aspect of life. It determines how a person thinks, reacts, and moves through the world. It influences relationships, personal growth, success, failure, discipline, confidence, and the pursuit of goals. Life presents challenges and opportunities to every individual, but it is attitude that decides whether those experiences lead to progress or stagnation. A positive and strong attitude does not mean ignoring reality or pretending that difficulties do not exist. It means choosing to respond with clarity, courage, and determination, even when circumstances are unfavorable. It means seeing obstacles as lessons, failures as feedback, and effort as the path to growth. Throughout this book, the examples of students, athletes, entrepreneurs, professionals, and everyday individuals illustrate a simple truth, that mindset is more powerful than talent, resources, or luck. Two people with the same potential and opportunities can reach completely different outcomes based on the attitude they bring into their actions. Attitude is not fixed. It is a skill and a habit that can be cultivated through awareness, practice, and consistency. Each day presents opportunities to make choices about how to think and act. Every small decision to respond constructively adds strength to mindset and gradually transforms life. Relationships thrive when attitude prioritizes understanding, respect, and positivity. Personal growth accelerates when challenges are approached with curiosity and persistence. Success becomes achievable when effort is guided by confidence, discipline, and resilience. Failure becomes a teacher rather than a barrier, and goals transform from abstract ideas into tangible realities. The journey of life will never be free from uncertainty, difficulty, or setbacks, but a person who understands the power of attitude can navigate these experiences with strength and clarity. They can maintain motivation even in adversity, remain committed to improvement, and create opportunities where others see only obstacles. Ultimately, attitude is everything, because it is the lens through which life is experienced and the engine that drives action. It is both the foundation and the bridge between potential and achievement. A strong mindset allows a person to rise above limitations, overcome challenges, and create a life defined not by circumstances, but by purpose, growth, and accomplishment. Embracing the truth that attitude is everything is not merely a motivational idea, but a practical reality. Each thought, choice, and action shapes the course of life. By consciously cultivating a positive, determined, and resilient mindset, every individual gains the power to transform their experiences into lessons, their challenges into opportunities, and their dreams into reality. In the end, life does not simply happen to a person. It is shaped by the way they think, the way they act, and the attitude they carry through every moment. A strong attitude turns possibility into reality, effort into progress, and potential into achievement, making it the most important factor in a fulfilling and successful life. The end.
Kindly subscribe to my channel.